Dear Shana Green, Liz says she wants to cancel your student loans and Bernie co-signed it. Oh my gosh! Okay, that might not be true, but we do actually have about 4 presidential candidates who are talking about student loan cancellation. We have some that are talking about canceling all student loans, and then some talking about canceling student loans for specific groups of people. And so we're going to talk about what student loan cancellation could mean for you, what it means, and how it might actually work. Hi, I'm Shana of the Wealth Vibe, and I create videos to help you eliminate debt, grow your income, and build wealth. And back in October 2017, I started with $108,000 of debt. But since then, I've paid down all of my debts except for one. And my one remaining debt is my student loans. And so I have about $56,000 of student loans remaining. And when the presidential candidates are talking about student loan cancellation, of course I am listening, okay? This is a very controversial subject, but student loans affect so many people. So if you are one of those people that student loans has affected in the past or currently, go ahead and give this video a thumbs up so we can get this video out to everyone that needs to know about these plans for student loan cancellation. The reason why this topic hits home for me is because I have been on a debt payoff journey for a little under 2 years. And right now, I only have one debt remaining, and that is my student loans. And I originally took out my student loans when I went to get my master's of public health degree. I had a Bill and Melinda Gates scholarship that paid for up to 10 years of education if I went into a graduate program, and one of the fields being public health. And so although I had a significant portion of my graduate degrees paid for, I did have to pay for some living expenses out of pocket, and I chose to take out student loans. And I have a lot of videos that discuss what my mindset was behind taking out student loans. But up until that point, I was debt free. I went through undergrad debt free, and this was my first time taking out student loans. And I took out maybe like close to $30,000 while I was in my master's program, and then I took out 2 smaller loans between $3,000 and $5,000 while I was in my doctoral program. And with interest from 2009, when I first took out the student loan, till now in 2019, I've amassed about $10,000 of interest. So that brings me up to a total of $56,000 of student loans. And I have made some payments here and there towards those student loans, but I'm still sitting at about $56,000. And the reason why this is really important to me, because they're talking about canceling it. I could literally be debt free very soon if these presidential candidates actually cancel my student loans. So of course, I'm listening very intently to their plans. So we have 2 presidential candidates that actually explain how they plan to pay for their student cancellation plans. So first we have Elizabeth Warren, who proposed a 2-cent tax on the ultra wealthy. So that's 2 pennies on the ultra wealthy that she plans to tax them to be able to do a student loan cancellation of up to $50,000 per person. Then we have Bernie Sanders, who wants to get rid of all student loans for everyone, and he plans to do a Wall Street tax that would put an extra tax when you buy or sell stocks. And so those are the 2 plans that I have seen that actually explain how they are going to actually accomplish their plans. But we do have other presidential candidates who have put forth ideas on how they want to approach student cancellation, but they haven't been really detailed about how they think that it will actually work. So I'm not going to go over each presidential candidate's plans for how they want to cancel student loans, because you should really kind of look into the pros and cons on yourself and make a decision for yourself on that issue. So Elizabeth Warren has actually drafted a bill. So she not only has come up with an idea and explained how she wants to do it, she actually is taking the steps towards making this a reality by actually drafting a bill so that this can become true. So it's getting real, y'all. It is really getting real. And it's kind of exciting, especially if you are one of the people out there, one of the many Americans out there that has student loans. And you probably are in a position where you have had student loans before in the past, or you currently have student loans, or you may even be working towards paying them down. So I want to hear from you down in the description box, and let me know how you feel about this, because I know that student loans affect a lot of people, but I have seen comments just out there on the internet from people who have already paid off, tens of thousands, even hundreds of $1,000s worth of student loans, and they feel a little slighted by these plans to cancel student loans. But then you have people on the other end of the spectrum that are currently paying or haven't paid at all and are really excited and are looking forward to this actually taking place and being law. So let me know where you stand on this issue and how you feel about it by dropping down in the comment section below and telling me what your thoughts are on the student loan cancellation plans by these presidential candidates. Senator Warren and Congressman Clyburn drafted a bill to cancel student loans for Americans with student loans, obviously. And so I actually read through the bill, and so I'm going to give you the details so that you know how this actually applies to you, because like I said, I'm very interested in this. So I wanted to know how it would actually work and how it would actually impact me. If the bill is enacted within 12 months of its enactment, student loans will be canceled up to $50,000 per person if the person has federal student loans. Now, if you have private student loans, stick around. I'm going to get to that and what it means for you. But I'm going to first start with the federal student loans. So if you have federal student loans like me, you can be eligible to have $50,000 of your student loans canceled. Gone. Bye-bye. You don't owe any money for it ever again. And so for me, being that I have $56,000 of student loan, that takes up a lot of money and would only leave me about $6,000 that I have to pay on my own. And look, I'm happy with that. I'm A-okay with paying a little bit. I'm A-okay with it, okay? So the bill would cancel up to $50,000. However, there are income limitations on this student loan cancellation. So if you make less than $100,000 per year in adjusted gross income, you can get the entire $50,000 of your loans canceled. Now, if you make over $100,000, you can get a portion of it canceled. So for every $3 that you make over $100,000, your student loan debt will be canceled by $1. And so that's a little abstract and kind of confusing. So the great thing is that Senator Warren actually has a website where you can actually type in your adjusted gross income and how much your student loans is, and it will tell you how much you will be eligible to have canceled based off your income. So you don't have to do all the math on your own. She already has a calculator that will do it for you. Here's the thing that I really wanted to know. I wanted to know, how was it going to practically work? Like, when would it take place? How are the student loans going to get canceled? Am I going to have to pay anything? Are certain loans going to have to be canceled? I wanted to know all those details, so that's why I read the bill for myself. All student loans will go under an administrative forbearance period. So what that means is that you will no longer have to pay a monthly payment on your student loans. You will not accrue any interest. You will not get any higher principal. You will not have to put forward any money until the student loan cancellation happens. So you don't have to owe anybody at all. Zero, nothing, okay? So that means that everybody will pretty much have an extra, couple hundred, maybe even a couple $1,000, depending on how many student loans you took out, while they figure out everything. So that's really good. The student loans are being administratively canceled. So someone is going to go into the computer and actually press delete on all the student loans. Have you actually seen those memes where someone says, like, can't the hackers go and hack Sally Mae and get rid of all the student loans? Pretty much this is what's happening now. So someone's gonna go in and cancel all the student loans up to $50,000 per person. So that means that you actually will not receive $50,000 cash or check or deposit or anything like that to then pay someone. That's not how it's working. They are just getting deleted in the system. You will not get any money at all for this. They will just not be owed anymore by you. They will go poof off the screen, okay? So that's the second thing that will happen. So when it comes to your loans, like many of us, we have more than one student loan, even if we have it with the same service provider. For example, I think about 4 or 5 student loans, all with the same service provider, My Great Lakes. And all the student loans have different interest rates and different amounts. So you may be wondering, which student loan gets canceled first, especially if you owe more than $50,000 like I do. So the first thing that they're going to do is they're going to start canceling student loans based off of interest rate. So if you have more than one student loan, they're going to look at the interest rates of those student loans and then cancel the ones with the lower interest rates first, working up to the student loans with the highest interest rates. Then once they cancel them according to interest rates, they're also going to then look at the actual dollar amount of the student loans. So then they're going to cancel based off of the smallest student loan first up to the highest student loans. So basically, if you have a student loan that has a low interest rate and a low balance, that one will get canceled first. And then they will work up to the student loans with the highest interest rates and highest balance. So that means if you owe more than $50,000 in student loans, you'll essentially be left with the student loan that has, the higher balance, but hopefully not all of the balance left over, right? But with the higher interest rate. So for me, I have student loans that range in interest rate from, I believe, 5.4% up to 6.8%. And then the student loan that I have with the highest balance actually is the student loan with the 6.8%. However, for me, I'll be left with about $6,000 of student loans left, but it will be at the interest rate of 6.8% because they're going to start with the lower interest rates and the lower balances first and then work up to the highest. So I hope that makes sense for you, but that's the way that the student loans will be canceled. So let's recap all of that. First, they're going to put all student loans on an administrative forbearance. So that means that you don't have to pay anything while they figure things out. And then secondly, they're going to administratively delete or cancel all the student loans, and they're going to do it in the order of lowest interest rate and then lowest balance first. And then your student loans, if they're under $50,000, will all be gone, no matter how many of them you have. You can have 10 federal student loans. If they're all under $50,000, they'll be gone. If you have private student loans, you have not been forgotten in this plan. You may be eligible for the same student loan cancellation up to $50,000. However, you have to do a few things in order for it to happen. So the first thing that you'll have to do is you'll have to actually refinance your loans to change your loan service provider from a private loan service provider to the federal government, because this plan is really supposed to work with federal loans only. But now they're giving you the option to refinance with the federal government. To my knowledge, before, that was not possible. You could only refinance from federal to private, and you could never refinance from private to federal. But now they're giving the option to do that. The good thing about this is you also will get a lower interest rate in the process. When this bill is enacted, if you have private student loans, you can start refinancing your student loans into federal loans as soon as 3 months after the bill is enacted. So if I were you and I had private student loans, as soon as 3 months hit, best believe I'm starting to refinance some student loans so I can get rid of them, okay? So that happens within 3 months of the bill being enacted. And then once your loans are converted into federal loans, they'll go through the same process as they would as if they were always federal loans, and they can be discharged or canceled up to $50,000. Now, you may be thinking, all right, I actually defaulted on my student loans, and can I actually be eligible for this? Will they look out for me when I defaulted already on my student loans? And actually, this is a part of the bill. If you have already defaulted on your student loans, the great thing is that this bill will allow you to have those defaulted loans removed from your credit report completely. And so it won't affect your credit at all because they'll be removed. And so I think that's a win-win as well. So if you in the past couldn't pay and you were like, you know what, forget them student loans, I can't pay them people anyway, I already got my degree, come get my degree then. And you were like, just let them go into default. The great thing is that they don't have to affect you. Once this bill is enacted, you can actually get them removed off your credit report. Similarly, student loans can now be discharged with bankruptcy. So before this bill, if you went through bankruptcy, you would still have to pay for your student loans, which I just find to be crazy because clearly you have demonstrated that you can't pay your bills, right? But they're telling you still got to pay your student loans, which is just ridiculous. But now with this bill, you would be able to discharge your student loans with that bankruptcy and you won't have to pay them anymore, which is great because before this, the only way that you could get rid of your student loans was one, if you paid them all off or had someone pay them off on your behalf, or if you died. Those are the only two ways you can get rid of student loans. But now with this student loan cancellation bill that Elizabeth Warren and Clyburn has introduced, you can actually get rid of your student loans through bankruptcy as well. So that's awesome. Not only will they cancel it up to $50,000, if you fall on hard times and have to go through bankruptcy, you can get rid of the remaining amount, or if you've already gone through this process, you can get rid of it through bankruptcy. You've probably been waiting to hear about how does this bill affect the public service loan forgiveness program. And a lot of people out there are trying to get their loans forgiven through the public service loan forgiveness program. And so how that works is typically you have to work within you have to have federal loans, right? And then secondly, you have to work within the public sector for 10 years, and you have to have been making consecutive payments of 120 payments throughout the time that you worked within the public sector. And then you could file and get your loans forgiven through the public service loan forgiveness program. It's so hard to say that. With this student loan cancellation bill, you will not be affected by the public service loan forgiveness program. So what that means is you can still get up to $50,000 of your loan forgiven. But if you happen to have more than $50,000 of student loans left over, the remaining amount will still qualify for the public service loan forgiveness program, and your payment schedule will not get thrown off. Because remember when I said that the administrative forbearance would go into place, you won't be thrown off of your 120 consecutive payments thing. They will overlook that and say, you know, we actually put that in place, and so you were still on track with paying, you know, your 120 payments on time and whatnot, and so we're not going to, you know, derail you as a result of that. So you can still qualify for the remaining amount that exceeds $50,000 to actually fall under the public service loan forgiveness program. So that's really cool because you could qualify for the student cancellation and also still qualify for the public service loan forgiveness program. You don't have to do one or the other. So that's the rundown on the student cancellation bill that was introduced by Senator Warren and Congressman Clyburn. And if you want to know more about my student loan debt history, you can check out this video here. But I'm really excited to learn more about the proposals that the other presidential candidates have out there, because as you can see, I'm really excited about this student loan cancellation issue. And I hope you enjoyed this video, and make sure to share it and hit the subscription button and the notification bell so that I can see you in the next one. Bye.